Hey everybody, Attorney Somm here. In this video, I'm counting down my top 5 champagnes from 2021. Coming in at number 5 was the 1990 Dom Perignon. This is a champagne that continues to show well. It's been one of my favorites for many years. This particular bottle was pristine and fresh. Baked dried apples, brioche, caramel, marzipan, and wet rock were all readily detected on both the nose and the palate. There was abundant acidity to balance the pronounced intensity of flavors. The finish was long and complex. If you haven't tried this vintage yet, definitely do yourself a favor and give it a chance. It's showing extremely well right now. My 4th favorite champagne from 2021 was the 2000 Krug Clos d'Ambonnet. For champagne lovers, it does not get much better than Krug's Clos d'Ambonnet. There are only about 5,000 bottles produced every year that it's produced, and it's only produced in certain top vintages. It's 100% Grand Cru Pinot Noir from a walled vineyard that is owned by Krug in the village of Ambonnet. Still remarkably youthful despite being aged in Krug cellars for 15 years before release. This champagne is showing extremely well right now. It's incredibly elegant despite the fact that it's rich and powerful. There's laser-like acidity that balances the minerality and the flavor intensity. The shockingly long finish lingers for well over a minute, but leaves you wanting more as soon as it's gone. An amazing champagne. My 3rd favorite champagne of 2021 was Selosse Substance. There's only about 3,000 bottles of Substance produced every year. This is 100% Chardonnay, so it's a Blanc de Blanc, and it comes from the village of Aviz, which is Grand Cru classified. Substance is the product of a CELLAR system. It began in 1986. Selosse's objective was to produce a champagne that wasn't impacted by vintage variation from year to year, and was consistent every single year. There are 2 levels of reserve wines, or criadera, for this CELLAR system used by Selosse. One of them ages in stainless steel, and the other in oak casks. Selosse adds to the CELLAR every single vintage, regardless of how good or bad that vintage may be. The youngest vintage accounts for around 22% of the champagne. By adding the current vintage to the reserve wines and aging them together, the impact of the younger wine is almost imperceptible and thereby eliminates the vintage variation that you would otherwise see from year to year. And what you're left with then is the essence of Aviz Chardonnay. Before it's disgorged, Selosse's Substance spends 6 years in the bottle. Substance is as rich as the gold color makes it appear. While the CELLAR system results in a wine with slightly oxidative properties, this wine is still remarkably fresh. It's tremendously complex and profound. This is a wine that tastes better after it has a little bit of air and does much better when it's not too cold. Before long, after I poured this in the glass, mesmerizing aromatics were present. Dried apricot, white peach, white flowers, honey, toasted bread, brioche, almonds, candied ginger, chamomile tea, beeswax, chalk, and wet stone were all readily apparent. But despite the honey and apricot descriptors, this wine was not at all sweet. Substance is aptly named as it's a powerful, intense, concentrated champagne. The finish is unbelievably long and complex. If you've not yet tried a Selosse yet, it should definitely be a New Year's resolution for 2022. And something that's on your bucket list. My 2nd favorite champagne for 2021 was the 1990 Krug. This champagne was remarkably fresh and vibrant for its age. While it was so harmonious that it was easy to just sit back and enjoy it, it was also possible to identify numerous discrete descriptors, which is one way you can tell that a champagne is particularly complex. Lemon, grapefruit, pear, dried apricot, key lime pie, tart tartine, orange peel, toasted almonds, brioche, gingerbread, honey, and hints of caramel and butterscotch were all present. But with this champagne, the whole was much greater than the sum of its parts. With the first sip, this champagne coated your tongue with an explosion of intense, concentrated flavors that were all perfectly balanced by abundant acidity. There was also a luxurious, creamy mouthfeel that was particularly enjoyable with this wine. This champagne consists of 40% Pinot Noir, 37% Chardonnay, and 23% Meunier. Unlike Dom Perignon, Krug actually embraces Meunier and uses a decent percentage of it in a lot of its champagnes. While Meunier is thought not to age as well as Chardonnay, this wine was still showing extremely well despite its age. My top champagne for 2021 was the 1996 Dom Perignon Enothèque. This bottling is now referred to as either P2 or P3, and Dom Perignon did away with the Enothèque name. This bottling experienced extended aging at the winery and was not released until 2008. 1996 is one of my favorite vintages of all time for Dom Perignon, and so it's always a treat to taste this wine, especially the Enoteque, which underwent extended aging at the winery. An avalanche of aromas exploded from the white wine glass that I used to enjoy this champagne. And of course, for me, I always use a white wine glass with champagne and never a champagne flute, because you're not able to appreciate the complex aromatics of top champagne if you use a flute. There was citron, lemon curd, baked apple, poached pear, white peach, kumquat, white pepper, gunflint, and river rot. The palate packed a powerful punch, but the flavors were perfectly balanced by ample acidity, and this acidity created intriguing tactile tension on the palate. The finish, while long and complex, left you with an insatiable desire for another sip. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have a favorite champagne from 2021, please let me know in the comments below. And please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video. Until then, drink well.